I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little mind.
Okay, not a bad.
Decent start. So you just started working with Justin, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
What's kind of like the last 2 or 3 weeks looked like between you two?
Obviously watched his videos when I first got him, trying to build off of what he was working on prior, and looked at some mocap stuff to kind of see where things were at, because he had topped 93.9 in there, had been up to I think 93, maybe a little bit higher in lives. So I just wanted to kind of see if there's anything we could transition from his mocap over to here. Pelvic angular velocity was a little low, so we had to kind of work on some stuff with the back leg, getting more rotation out of back hip. Definitely prefers a little bit ER out of that backside, but trying to find some tension that can create that rotation that he wants. It's a little off. Worked on just being able to rotate out of the backside. So starting with how he wants to load the back leg and what type of tension he wants to create. So maybe a little bit more coil, and being able to hold that down the mound so it snaps him in the rotation versus getting too extendy. From there, a little bit of glove side action to kind of help him hold everything closed. So been working on the glove side. His first move with his handbrake was like straight up, and the only place for him to go was forward. So I had him kind of create a little bit more fluidity down, and then let him create that leverage up and then downhill from there.
Okay. So what was the training like to help stimulate that pelvic rotation? Was it plyo drills? Was there some med ball work?
He was already doing med ball and water bag stuff that I liked. So really it was just about making some adjustments with, actually, honestly, the first click was I had him try out. Nice. I had him try out a little like turn and burn drop step when he was warming up, and flicked a 90 out of a drop step turn and burn, and it looked really good. So then I kind of took that idea of like, okay, we do need to be a little bit more rotational, and had him do kind of like I think Aero has coined this term, like around the world, where you like start in a 10 toes and do some reps where you slowly shift your way more sideways so you can be a little bit more linear, but you're still focusing on that coil and that rotation. So like a 10 toes variation to a rocker, from a rocker to like a little step back, from a step back to like a janitor, and then janitor to drop step of sorts.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was super clean for him, and we just progress that on the slope, like do it on the front half of the slope so he doesn't feel like he has to reach down the mound, and then translate it to a little bit more full distance from there. Good pitch. Strike.
So those drills have kind of made it a little bit easier for him to transfer that to the slope as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then made a small adjustment with his delivery too, the tempo of his windup. A little off. Good shape though. With the little step back he has right here out of the windup, he was rushing into his leg kick. So back leg was really like stiff and already kind of pre-bent. So I had him gather a little bit more, like take a little bit more time, lift with a little bit more height, create a little bit more tension through that height, and then capture energy down the mound. Before it just seemed like it was just a little too fast.
Yeah.
And you mentioned he was working on making sure his tempo was a little bit faster down the mound, because he is kind of I would say a pretty laid back guy. So everything's a little bit slower, a little bit smoother. I just wanted to have him find a little bit more intent, and I think that helped pick things up a little bit. So far, did we end up making a line? 93.5, so not terrible right now.
Okay, we're searching for...
We want the 4. We're getting close to.
We are getting close.
You want to hit a 4 today?
Yeah.
Yeah? Rotate in a tight window.
That was pretty close, right?
93.5 on here, but probably last batter of this set.
Well, last batter of the set, he's going to go with the fastball right away here.
I think we should. Got nothing to lose.
Well,
right now, we're just kind of finding that, it's a controlled environment, so, let it eat a little bit. When we're breaking ball first, or was that the cutter? Might have been the cutter. The cutter?
Yeah.
I like it.
It's harder.
It's
in the carry.
I mean, at least it's moving.
Yeah.
Glove side. That's the biggest thing. If it's not going to carry, we want it to move glove side.
Working backwards here.
Yeah. He loves going. I even talked to him about how I think the cutter should be just that bridge pitch in general. Throw it in zone. Throw it early if you need to.
Right.
Yep. And then his breaking ball is really good. I think that's probably his best pitch. But just being able to use that stuff early is going to help kind of hide the fastball a little bit. Fastball profile is not bad. But again, unless he's throwing 95 plus, we're going to kind of be in a weird spot. So I want him to be able to protect the fastball a little bit. And I told him, one of the big focuses for today is him going 3 sets. So we're focused on how he bounces back from the rest. So he's going 3 sets. Next week, we're going to add a few more pitches in those sets so he can kind of push the fatigue threshold a little bit more.
Yep.
15 pitch inning is efficient, but he's going to have some where he throws 20 pitches, where he throws 25. So I want to go 3 sets again, and then have him focus on maybe going a little bit higher workload in each of those sets. We'll be all right.
You did some pitch shape adjustments here, some arsenal adjustments. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so all the way through the entire arsenal.
Yeah, we're good.
Fastball was always a little runny. Hey, good shape. A little runny. And he had a sinker that he said was just kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
And making those adjustments mechanically, like we talked about, allowed him to get through the ball a little bit better, carry it a little bit cleaner. So really happy with the fastball profile overall. Today it's a little down. On average, the last 3 lives or so, he's been averaging 17 plus, which is not something he was doing before. The cutter he had, but with the grip he was using and him being I would say a slightly lower 3/4 slot, and being more of a pronator, it was tough for him to hold supination and drive downhill through that pitch. Another good shape. So everything he was doing, efficiency was in a perfect spot, but he was kind of getting underneath it. So it's kicking the axis back towards his arm side. So everything was just backing up on him. So what I did was kind of look at a guy that I have that has a very similar slot and similar plane of rotation. Was that cut?
Bad cutter.
Yeah. That one backed up. The other ones were fine. So I looked at Cole Sands, got some Edgar video and looked at Cole Sands and just tried to figure out kind of where he was at on the ball. And really all we did was, instead of being kind of hooked around the lace, like around the horseshoe, we just adjusted the orientation. So he was like here, right? So if you want to zoom in on the camera, around the horseshoe, but because of where he was at with his hand, everything was just backing up and back spinning the other way. So all I did was look at where Cole Sands was at, and Cole he kind of shifted the ball more towards like the 2-seam orientation, a little bit more up. So now if he gets underneath it, it's still going to be a true cutter.
Yeah.
So
that helps the shape and that helps the velo.
It tightened up. He's throwing it a little bit harder. Last week we had a little bit of progress with it, but it was just too gyro. He was trying to force himself all the way around it. So then in his pin earlier this week, we adjusted the grip a little bit and had him throw that, and it cleaned itself up. And then the breaking ball, kind of in between like a sweeper and curveball. And for him, he'll have an occasional sweep. Then he'll have one that's just a banger death ball. And I think it's probably going to be easier to sustain something that's more death ball-y. So just talking to him about being more north to south instead of getting super rotational. We don't want him to be over rotational, because that's when the fastball profile starts to get a little bit more runny. So just having him kind of work downhill. Didn't change the grip on that, just having him work a little bit more downhill, not worrying about trying to get around that pitch as aggressively was pretty good for him. So now it's a little bit slurvier versus he was having like a bunch of super sweepy shapes and then occasionally one down here. Now we're kind of bucketed in a slurvier shape. And then obviously changeup is a work in progress still. Was throwing a kick change. In theory, it makes sense because he's a little bit more of a pronator. So getting that middle finger out of the way, allowing him to pronate should kick that axis off to the side. But it was just inconsistent movement-wise and man-wise, just wasn't able to put it together.
So then you guys have been kind of working through a splitter recently, and that's that's very new.
You got go about 5 more. 1 to 2 more batters. We talked about making an adjustment, and I want to say that he mentioned kind of just going with a little split grip and trying it out. And we tried it on TrackMan, and there was a little bit of success, and realized that if I get him to curl his index finger just a little bit, it allows him to kill depth on it. So he's not straight behind it as much. He's able to get a little bit of gyro so that it can catch some seams and drop. And it's been fairly decent in pins. Still early. It is kind of weird to think, okay, if the kick change was volatile why go to a more volatile pitch in a splitter? And in my opinion, I think it allowed him to get a little bit more consistent shape overall, killing depth. With the kick change, he would carry some and then get some crazy depth. With the split, it's been consistently below like 8 vert, so that's kind of what we're looking for there.
Because pitches like that, it's all about feel. So it's whatever, like you mentioned earlier, is like he can throw a sick kick change, but if he can only get it near the zone 1 out of every 5 times, it's a worthless pitch, right? So it's about being close to the zone and forcing as many swing decisions as you can.
Yeah, that's where you have to be careful getting stuff blind or just kind of focusing on things in a vacuum, because none of your pitches in your arsenal are going to be in a vacuum. They influence the other pieces. They influence command. They influence mechanics. They influence decision making by the hitter.
Yep.
So if you have a top level pitch, grades out extremely well, but it forces you to drop your slot, or it forces you to adjust other pitch types that you have, it's not beneficial because it doesn't benefit the rest of the arsenal. So for him, we had to get away from thinking like, okay, that pitch specifically, yeah, it can be really good, but if it's messing with everything else or it's causing him to lose command on it, it's not worth keeping in the arsenal, especially as a starter. Good. One more?
So you kind of mentioned towards the end of the last thing, we're building him up as a starter. He's going out to play in the Pioneer League in Billings. What does that kind of look like? We're going to go 2 sets of lives here, and then we're going to go over to the pitching lab and throw a few more over there.
Yeah. So he was built up to about a little over 1 inning. Honestly, I think he was throwing like 25, 30 pitches in lives. If you think about it, you split that in half, you get 2 15-pitch innings. So he was kind of built up for that. But sitting for a little bit is different. So I wanted him to at least experience sitting for 5, 10 plus minutes to mock an in-between inning. So last week we went with 2 innings and went pretty well. I think we went about 15 plus pitches there. So we got up to 30 total, 31 total. And it's because he had already been built up to about 30 pitches. It felt good after sitting in between innings. I thought, let's add a 3rd set. And just so that we don't the schedule for the rest of life, it's perfect to, hey, let's go foul ball. It made sense to add that set in. It's controllable environment. When you try to build up in game, it's tough.
Yeah.
Right. You got to build up in a live setting, in a controlled environment, because you need to be able to roll the innings. You don't want him to go out there for a 45 pitch, 60 pitch outing with 3-4 innings, but get caught in a 30 pitch inning. So that was the plan. 15 pitches in that first set, a little bit more in the second set, and then we're gonna go 15 over there again to get him about 45 to 50 pitches total. And then next week we're gonna repeat that same number of innings, but we're going to increase the total number of pitches per set. So he's going about 20 per set. So he gets to 60 total, but he's still only going to have 3 sets.
That's just going to help him build up for the rest of the season and feel like he's in a good place going into the spring.
Yeah, when he reports, I want him to be built up to about, 60, 75 pitches. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, because when he gets there, he'll have about a week.
Yep.
And then they're not going to want to throw him out there and just crush him the first time out. So we'll be able to slow it down for him a little bit and see how that goes. Cutters are way better. He had a few still. These are the ones from, I think he threw 1 backup in that second set, but these are all the ones from this newer set. We'll go another set, but we'll keep it like 10 to 12 pitches. Yeah. But I do want you to try to be above 90. I do want you to let a few go, though.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel good. I think.
You want to just go back to windup for a few?
Yeah. I feel.
We'll do. I'm going to put a mock hitter in there.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna only give you like 5 to 7 warm-ups, just like it's in between innings, and then we'll go. You need more time? Or are you ready?
I'm good.
All right. He's gonna go like 5 to 7 warm-ups, like he's throwing in between innings, and then let's just throw a hitter in there, and we'll go. Do you want to call it, or you want him to call it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I also noticed too, that step back, you kind of went back to being like almost rushing yourself. Yeah. I think more time and a higher leg kick allows you to actually feel tension back there. Yeah, 90 plus.
Yep.
Don't rush the tempo of the windup. Get that leg kick up. And then on the cutter, you just got to get through it a little bit more. Okay. 1-0. Good.
Back up a little.
A little bit. You feel it?
I feel it.
That's good. Hey, we have time to talk a little bit between pitches. But I don't want to overtake the idea of this is still a mock inning. We got 2-1 count. That's not bad either. I know that's 10 vert, but you got 17 horizontal on it. That's going to be better than the cut ones. The ones that cut on you. That one just slipped out early. Yeah. You just got to get through it a little bit more. We're set. 2-1. All right, win this count. Good. You feel a little rotational today?
Maybe. Yeah.
2-2.
Down and up.
Yeah. Really good. I like that execution enough to say that's a punch out right there. You want to stick righty and then go lefty?
Yeah.
Hey, new count. We'll stay at righty. Hey, with the fastball, you're just a little open here, so you're over rotating. Stay closed and rip downhill. Yeah. Yeah. Good. A little off there.
Yeah.
Pad off. Slightly better vert. 1-0. Good. That's what you want that there for too, so you can throw it in a 1-0 count. That shape, I like that shape. 1-1. Win the 1-1 count. You're right there. Hands dragging behind just a little bit. Well, I like it. Now's the time for you to throw stuff in 1-1 counts or counts that you normally would go to something else.
Yeah.
Trying like the splitter out or trying the cutter out. 2-1. Not bad. A little rotational.
I'm trying to think keeping this closed more. And I am, but then instead of like
down, it's around.
There. Yeah.
Use that as leverage a little bit then. If you got to get this a little bit higher to get you downhill, do it. 3-1 count. Good. Dot. Good spot. All right, so you gone first batter, you ended with a breaking ball.
Yeah.
If you want to go split here, I know it's a 3-2 count.
Yeah.
You just got to get through it.
Okay.
Rip it through his chest. Not bad. No read, but 215 tilt. 215 tilt is going to put you right in that bucket right there.
Okay.
This is like 2 o'clock, 1:30.
So it's a better shape. I wouldn't normally go, obviously.
Yeah, you're going to go something different.
Yeah.
That was the one that carried on you a little bit, but that was 2 o'clock tilt. 215 got you to 4.6. So you're in a good spot there. Hey, let's go lefty. Last one. Right now we are at exactly 46 pitches, I think. I think you threw 35 over there total. I think there's a 4-pitch at bat. We'll get out of here at 50. I like that a lot. That actually might be a strike. Good. That's a strike. Really good. Yeah, when you got a lefty in the box, honestly, your main focus with the cutter should probably be like, I'm throwing it at a righty's rib cage.
Yeah.
Because then that's going to keep you closed longer, so then you can actually cut through it.
And that's what I was thinking right there.
I think if you are open, that's when you get around or like kind of under it and around it, and it just backspins on you. Yeah, so that was perfect. 0-1. Yes. All right. I want you to try to get a little bit more horizontal on it right here. Do you feel like you're pronating through it at all, or you feel like you're just throwing it?
I feel like I'm throwing on that one. I definitely felt I'm trying to pull a little more down.
When you finish this pitch, I do want you to feel like not full pronation, but just like try to get through it a little bit more. Don't let your middle finger be around it.
Okay.
Because that's when you're going to lose horizontal. Okay. We'll say 1-2 now. Say you got a swing and miss on the one before that. See? A little bit more horizontal on it.
Just the vert went up a little.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is fine. All right, 1-2 count. Yeah. All right, you want to go just one heater, try to bump it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Last one no matter what, though. Hey, that was the best carry of the day. Yeah. Do you feel like you could coil a little bit more in your windup? Do you feel like you just lift neutral?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little mind because the idea of keeping this closed and feeling there,
Yeah.
I think it's good.
But it's forcing you out earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like in my first set, that was the whole thing. And then I see the fastball profile is not what it is, so I try and get a little here, which is good. It was better, but then that makes me, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like a whole combination.
So what I would think, a reverse of that, because we'll look at the side view. It's just pushing you out a little early. Like back hip, you're out of it just a little too soon.
Yeah.
It's definitely better. It's not as extendy as it was, but see how torso's just forward by the time you get into foot strike?
Yeah.
So the block is just a little late there. What I think you should do, instead of thinking everything has to be coiled, this is a fixed point. This back leg is a fixed point. Your goal is to rotate against the fixed point, not around the fixed point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So instead of thinking, I got to rotate all the way around this fixed point, whether that's coiling here or like coiling here, let me create a little bit of tension in and work against it. Okay. So now as you lift in your wind up, you're just going to hit that wall, that fixed point, and hold and go.
Okay.
Plus, we're also still working on opening up a little bit more range in the shoulder and the back hip.
Yeah.
So what you're feeling is you get to that range, body isn't used to it yet.
Yeah.
He's just going to push you out of it. We need to neutralize how much you coil, then we need to neutralize how much you coil.
Yeah.
Especially with the upper half. I think the lower half is fine.
Yeah, I do too.
Upper half is more about resisting rotation from the lower half than it is about trying to create more counter rotation.
Yeah.
So let's create that tension and that coil from the lower half because it does work for you, but don't feel like you have to create extra counter rotation with the torso.
Okay.
It's just let me resist rotation as my pelvis clears and then I can rip, which makes this move that you're talking about a lot easier where it's downhill.
Got it.
We got to simplify it. I think we simplify it.
Yeah.
Going back to focusing on the lower half might be better than trying to focus on upper half and lower half.
Yeah.
Also, fatigue is going to set in. You're not used to, like, I think that next week it's going to be let it eat. Let's try to get your number in your first set and then cruise at 92. Like, feel good. Don't try to do more and your velo go down.
Yeah.
Best thing is, I think, were you trying to do more in the second set? Mentally or physically trying to do more?
I would say mentally, I went a shift back to mechanically. Like, in the first set, it was more just ride this, and then I'm going right at the target. Like, I'm pitching.
Yeah.
Second one, I think it was more of like, okay, that was good. Now let's try to make it better.
You try to do more.
Yeah. And then it just wasn't.
Yeah. We don't need that. Honestly, think like first set next week, let's just try to let it eat and go grab a 4.
Yeah.
Because you were climbing. Like you hit the 93.7, we're right there. Obviously, we needed to shut you down to get you to your next set. Yeah. Maybe we could have pushed it a little bit more, and that's what we're going to do next week. Okay. Is still 3 sets, but we might go 20 pitches in the first 2 sets and only 10 in the second set. Yeah. We'll take it. Yeah. Hey, benefits is cutter shape overall, much more consistent. Yeah. Splitter in here, I think it's going to be better than the kick change. Yeah. Just because you're getting more consistent shape, and when you don't run it up and arm side, everything is over the white. Yeah. It's got to be over the white for you to get a decision on it. Yeah. And then curveball was curveball. Like I don't. You had one sweepy one instead of having like 3 or 4. You had one sweepy one. Everything else was slurvy. That's what we want. Yeah. So. And I expected all the velos to trend down a little bit when you're in here. So, good. We'll take it.